What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 41 of Value Town. I'm your host, ChanManV, and joining me today, as always, is Trump, my co-host. And we've got a special guest today. We've got Liquid Amaz here joining us to talk some Naxxramas military quarters with us. Welcome, Amaz.
Hello, nice to be here.
Yeah, man, it's been a while since we had you on, so it's definitely great to have you on again, man.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, another quarter release today, so lots to talk about. That's the great thing about these weeks, or at least the last couple weeks, and then the next couple, is that we've got plenty to talk about, at least from the standpoint of new content. And so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some meta talk like we always do, and then we got a couple of fun decks to talk about too. We'll have some Q&A with you guys. Go ahead and tweet your questions to @ChanManV, and we'll get to as many as we can at the end of the show. But okay, military quarters. So, what did you guys think? Was it harder than the last two? I guess generally just finishing it, or did you think it was easier? Trump, what do you think?
I thought it was really hard. Toughest quarter so far. That doesn't mean it was the best, though. I liked last week's quite a bit more. It seemed like the bosses were more flavorful. These bosses, like Gothic's hero power just felt like blatant cheatery.
Yeah,
It's like,
right.
okay, there's not much you can do to counter 1 mana, gain mana, draw cards. And I mean, I like the mechanic of them dying and then coming to your side. The hero power, it's like, yeah. The final boss, I thought that one was really flavorful and nice.
Yeah. Mons?
Yeah, I enjoyed this week's a bit more. The first boss was very easy. I actually one-shot it. It was super easy. But yeah, Gothic was like, sometimes you just get screwed over. Like, if he has like a perfect opening, which he always does.
Yeah.
If it's
Yeah.
Death Speaker, Coin, Death Charger, or something like that. And it's just brutal. And the Horseman, I don't know, it's like, I play Priest versus all of them, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it seems like every time I don't start with Pain, I get crushed. Because they have like, what, 6 damage the first turn and then 8 damage the next turn.
Yeah.
Then you can't really do anything, you need something. So yeah, I think the hardest quarter is still the second for me though. The one that kills everything and spawns 5/5 skeletons. That one is like, yeah, I think that's a bit harder.
That was the first boss, right, in the last one?
Yeah, the first one and the second quarter, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was definitely tough too. Yeah, this one, yeah, I thought the the last, just the horseman was interesting, but like you said, I thought the rest of them were just kind of so. Yeah, that hero power that gives you a card, that's just it gives you a card and a mana crystal, or gives him a mana crystal. It's just insane. So you finished it all with priest?
Oh yeah,
That's
I'm
crazy. The second one,
supposed to
wow.
do Nax. I'm supposed to do Nax, like kill all heroic bosses with just Priest and see how
Okay.
it goes. So
Wow.
far it's been okay, and it's good because Priest has all these gimmicky things like silence or zero.
Mhm.
Remove a minion for 2 or 3. I think it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Trump, what did you finish the bosses with?
I did 2 of the 3 with Priest.
Hmm.
Priest turns out to be pretty good against these bosses in general. And I learned the other day that, not while I was doing it, but it's a good tactic against Vesuvius to not steal on the first turn and then buff his guys.
Yeah, that's what I
And then
did.
you steal them because they actually don't have summoning sickness when you steal them, so you can attack right away.
Oh.
So
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't
Wow.
know that either. That's huge.
that's
actually.
pro tips.
Pro
Yeah,
tip.
so I did Priest for Vesuvius and the Horseman because Shadow Word Pain is OP, and against Gothic I used Shaman,
Okay.
just
okay.
like the challenge, the class challenge.
Yeah, what did I use? I used for gosh, I'm trying to think of what I used for the first one. I definitely used Freeze Mage for one of them, and then I used Priest for the last one for sure, just because of Cabal and Shadow Word Pain, and then I can't remember what I used for the first one actually. I can't remember. It might have been Shaman actually, but yeah, definitely some good mix in there. What did you think of the class challenges?
Fun. They were okay. I mean, the Warlock one was like, you train demons, right? You kind of like
Yeah.
expect that deck gonna be there. But the Shaman was fun, I think. Especially how you can summon the new 1111, the Thaddeus. So like the first time I did the Shaman, I was like, oh, I saw the Fugan, right? And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stall it until I summon the 1111. And yeah,
Nice. Yeah, I
and
never got a chance
actually
to do
did
that.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was pretty good.
that's good. Yeah, the Warlock one was kind of neat because I don't know, I felt like it gave you a real sense of how, like what Void Caller is going to be like, right? At least just at its best because the entire deck was very much demons. I think I did get a Jiraxis to come out whenever I did it. It was kind of nice, kind of nice. Didn't get Shadow Word Pain too. That would really suck if it did, if it ended up
Well, yeah,
being that.
the thing is with the Warlock challenge, you're not really facing against the real deck. It's like the Four
Mm.
Horsemen. It's like a gimmick deck.
Yeah.
So you can't really tell if that's good, but then it gives you some sort of idea to like, oh, Void Caller, maybe it's used this way in Constructed. I still haven't seen a good Void Caller deck just yet, but then I'm sure they'll fix something up.
I haven't seen one yet on the ladder. Have you guys actually run into one?
I haven't, but I think the people are experimenting with the Shaman more
Yeah,
because the
yeah.
Shaman
I think
just
everybody.
with the crazy combos and whatnot.
Yeah, I guess it's just a lot more fun right now.
Yep.
But good stuff. Yeah, the
I
military.
actually ran into one of those Warlocky ones with the Void Color, and
Okay.
it actually completely destroyed me. It was,
What did he get? Yeah.
I mean, when your 3/4 gets a 6/6 when it dies, and you can choose when to you can choose how to send that to die, then that's really strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Getting a 6/6 is
It
definitely
is
nice.
high variance though, because you have to have all the pieces, but I think it's got possibilities.
I mean, 3/4. It's a 4, right? I forget. Is a void color
Yeah,
a
it's a
4?
four.
It's a 4. Yeah. Yeah. So it's
It's
not
a
quite.
3.
God, it feels like
Wow.
Dark Cult is a 3/4. I mean, jeez,
Yeah.
really good. Uh, good stuff though. I mean, Military Quarter again. Another release. So that's hope. I can't wait for the next week and see how that goes. But at least this release was very smooth. I mean, I was able to get it like the instant it came out. So that was definitely kudos for Blizzard for resolving all those issues they had last week. But
I
let's
just hope that the people who got their gold kind of like stopped got it back. It would suck
yeah,
to
they were
lose.
gonna I think they were gonna make sure everybody that either paid or spent their gold was gonna get everything back. So I'm not sure how that. I'm sure that's probably either resolved or getting resolved right now.
Mhm.
But let's talk about the new cards though. It kind of we'll cross that into some meta talk too. Just what you guys have been seeing on the ladder. So Spectral Knight, right? That was definitely one of the cards that a lot of people were looking forward to this week. Now that we have Loatheb and Spectral Knight, I think those two cards a lot of people are wanting to add to their decks or try it out. Have you gotten a chance to try out Spectral Knight at all? Amaz?
Oh, me. Okay.
Yeah.
I faced a lot of special knights on ladder,
Mm-hmm.
and it's quite interesting because at first you go like, oh my god, it's a fairy dragon on crack, and it's like so OP,
Yeah.
right? You can
Yeah.
interact with it a lot. But the games I played in it, it didn't feel like it's super good. Because the thing is, you're trading. This is a power, right? You're trading a different power for a different power. Because this power doesn't affect anything. It just means that it's not really removable.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you have to wonder why don't you play Loatheb instead? Because Loatheb is not removable as well. Because you stop their spells. It's kind of sticks on the board, and like how I view right now, it's just Loatheb is just generally better. If you do taunt up the Spectral Knights, it could be really good, especially against Miracle. But even
Mhm.
that, it's really hard to pull off. Like, yeah, I tried to make a Druid deck work with it,
Mhm.
like a Watcher Druid with the Spectral Knight, but it didn't go too well. So I guess there's still more things I can change. There's many more things.
Trump, what'd you think?
Well, I haven't used them in decks, and I've mainly been playing decks which run some amount of minions at least, so I haven't had any problems with it. It's usually just been a 4/6. That said, I can understand how it can be really good against spell-heavy decks such as Miracle. So
Yeah.
I don't know yet, but I suspect it's good, but not as good as people are hyping it up to be.
Yeah.
Like
that's kinda-
Amaz said, Loatheb is also good, and I actually still think it's not as good as it's hyped up to be, even though you see it a lot now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree too. Loatheb just has more coverage too, and actually, I think people were talking about running both, before these were actually released, and I just can't see it fitting, like fitting both of them in a deck right now. But maybe down in the
Well,
future, who knows? I mean,
Yeah, and in Arena, it's not that good either, because it's just like a 4/6.
right?
It's good for value, but the thing is like, there's what's that called? The Smithful Smith, yeah. like that's a 4/6, and the power sometimes doesn't even work. So it's like, yeah, it's okay, but I think there are better 5 drops up there.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, other cards. Let's see. Well, Baron, right? Baron's been the one a lot of people have been experimenting with, especially with Shaman. Any cool findings with Baron, you guys? Trump?
Well, I mean, it fit into the deck I expected it to. Well, it fit into one of the two, which is basically you put it with the best death rattles, the Karen and the Sylvanas, and you see what happens. I suspected that wouldn't work, but apparently it's been experimented with, and like I was saying, you got to see how it pans out. I still don't think it'll work, but we'll see.
Amaz, what do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely very sticky minion. I played Priest a lot, and when I first saw that card, I was like, oh, this is such a shit card because it just gets removed, right? But I play Priest a lot, and then I go like, okay, if you play something else, you have to kind of devote 7 health, it's like 7 damage to it if you want to remove it. So in that sense, it's really good. And I mean, but then right now, I think because the fourth quarter is not released yet, there are not a lot of Death Routers you want to double up. So it's not that strong right now, but I would reconsider it after the next week is out.
after after what Zombie Chow's out and what else
Dude, you're
comes out?
putting for 10? That's crazy.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's gonna be so good. Yeah, I mean the seven. I mean, it's pretty hard to actually remove a 1/7 by just like I guess without actually having a spell that like a single target removal type of spell. But if somebody has to polymorph or has to hex it, that's probably a good thing, right? I mean, having your, I mean, Baron, I mean, having
Well,
them have
there's
to
like
spend it
two
on it.
ways of playing it, right?
Yeah.
The first way is to set it on the board and then put your stuff, and hopefully, in that case,
yeah.
your strategy is like, okay, maybe they're gonna spend 7 damage to remove on it, which is good, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like a Motion Warden with Spell Taunt or whatever you can do. The second one is you put a lot of Death Routers on the board and then you whack them in. And that you're just using the effect and you're not using the body.
Right.
So I guess in that way it's kind of flexible, but still it's not really flexible. It's hard. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really like it currently, but yeah, once again for the next week it might be better.
Cool. See any other cards that are? Well, we talked about the void color a little bit. I think that's. There's another card, right? For sure. Let me
It's
see.
Trump's favorite card right
Oh,
now.
boy.
Oh, the Death Lord, right?
Death Lord.
Yeah, the Death Lord. So, well, we're gonna talk about a priest deck that Trump's in a few minutes here with the Death Lord. But generally speaking, what do you guys think of it? Trump?
It seems like everything I had hoped for against aggro decks such as Zoo, and even against faster decks. And as expected, it's backfired a few times also. So it still needs to be tested a few times to see whether or not it's actually any good. I mean, I could, like I said when I was playing it yesterday, I could see myself in a few days or a week cutting it and being like, wow, this card is total garbage. But right now, it seems like it's reasonable.
Has it backfired for you against Zoo? Or
It
are you
hasn't
talking about just
backfired
against other
against
decks?
Zoo yet. It
Yeah.
seems like when I play it against Zoo, they have to 3 for 1 themselves against it.
Right. That's just pretty awesome. Amaz, have you tried it at all?
I haven't tried it personally because I think it's really, really bad against certain matchups. For example, it's bad against things that remove it outright, like Warrior and Hunter and stuff like that. Like it just removes it outright. But it could be really good. I think it's really good against Druids in a certain point because then if you pull out something that has a choose one or something, they don't activate it. So if you pull out Druid of the Claw, it's a 4/4.
Yeah.
Pull out Keep It to Growth, they don't do anything with it. It's not bad. But if you pull out something that can just stay on the board, it's really bad. So, yeah.
I was
mean,
thinking that too, but it turns out that when the Druid pulls out a 4/4 or a 5/5, it's still really bad.
it's still really. It depends on which deck you use it in, right? I mean, if you have like a more control type, you can remove it, and they just lost that battle cry. It's quite good in a sense. You could argue, but yeah, it's bad enough in certain matchups that I don't think it's worth using right now.
Yeah. Well, that's well, like you said, I feel like it was good. Like Trump said, it was going to just help with Zoo right now. And speaking of Zoo, so we're going to talk about that meta. There's been a lot of talk about just Zoo running rampant for at least the last week or two. I haven't been hearing it quite as much this last week, but what do you guys think of Zoo right now? Is it too powerful, just about right, necessary? I don't know. What do you guys think? Amaz?
Zoo is still Zoo. Okay, it's very relevant. It can just beat up anything with like best draws, like a Doom Garden 5, Soulfire or whatever. So yeah, it's still really strong. The new cards didn't really help us do that much, so that's why you don't see Zoo as much because
Mhm.
people like to experiment with new things.
Yep.
But like with all the buffing, with all the eggs, and the spiders, everything that sticks, it's quite crazy.
Trump, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this week has somehow been sort of a rest in peace zoo. It's like a zoo ceasefire for the moment. Uh, the for the first week since Nax has come out, zoo has not been the most played class that I've been up against,
Right.
and it's actually been the hunter is the flavor of the week.
Yeah. Why is the Hunter, especially this week? I mean, there wasn't anything that came out that helped Hunter this week. I don't believe.
I think it's more of
People,
it's at the end of the last week and then
Mm.
carry overing to this week.
Okay. Have both of you guys played the Hunter much?
I play the hunter a lot, yeah. You just really, I haven't have a king crush yet. Like,
I haven't either, man.
I have like West Spinner drawing me West Spinners, and that West Spinner drew me a West Spinner. Yeah, that was
What?
the best one I got, I guess. Like it's not bad, right? If you think about it, if it's a 1/1 that returns to hand after it dies,
Yeah.
it's not bad. Like
No,
I
it's
would play
actually
it,
pretty. That's
I guess.
yeah,
Right?
it's
It's a
not bad at
better
all.
paladin hero power, right?
Yeah.
But like I guess everybody wants to pull out that stuff, and it's actually a really good card by itself. Because for example, if it whiffs,
Mhm.
you still get a minion, and if it gives you something crazy like a 5 drop or a 6 drop,
Mhm.
all 5 drops and 6 drop beasts are really good, and
Yeah.
then you can like load the game. So it's kind of like a thought steal where if it misses, it's fine, but if it hits, it's really good.
It's kind of nice even like you play turn one, you run it into something, and then it gives you a turn two play too. Sometimes like a croc or something that you might not have had. So yeah, it's turned out to be a lot better than I thought it was going to be. The web spinner. So it's really
Yeah,
cool. Definitely
yeah.
really
When I
cool.
saw the card, I was like, "Oh my god, this card is really bad." And then I was like,
Hmm.
"Wait, it doesn't draw cards from your deck? Oh, it's insane!"
Yeah.
Because any
Right.
cards that don't draw cards from your own deck is insane. So I think with duplicate and with the mad scientist
Hmm.
out,
Yep.
that deck also is going to be very viable.
Yes, I mean that's an interesting one too. I guess if you only run duplicate, right? So the mad scientist is guaranteed to equip the duplicate
Well, look, like I don't know,
because
like I'm just like this week is cool and all, okay?
mhm.
Like there are a lot of cards, but I am very excited about week 4.
Oh, week
All the
four is
cards
just week four
like
is just
week 4 is gonna be
crazy.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, can't
because
wait
what
for it.
Chow comes out, Death Bite comes out, Undertaker comes out,
Dark Cultist,
Dark
like
Horses comes out. Yeah, so next week
it's
is just
just
gonna
too many
be
things.
insane. When we're talking about that, we're gonna that ceasefire with the zoo, I think is gonna stop too. I think once Undertaker comes out, it's gonna be a lot of zoo and
Oh, yeah,
the
it's
priest zoo.
Undertaker Siege. It's gonna be terrible.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Anything else you guys have seen in the meta like this week that's worth noting or something that's changed a bit? Trump? Anything?
I'd say just the big thing is the hunter.
Just the hunter. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and druids with special knights, they're trying that out, but
Huh,
it's
okay.
not really working too much. I don't know, because your 5 drops are already so filled, right? With Druid of the Claw and Azure Drake,
Yeah.
your fives is like very clunky already. So I don't. I think it's good to experiment with it, but I think at the end they're just gonna go back to their regular fives.
Yeah. I mean, Druids were the one class that actually had fives before all this, so they were
Oh yeah.
they were in decent shape from that standpoint. All right. Well, why don't we talk about some decks? Let's go over to the deck segment here, and we've got a priest deck and we've got a shaman deck. So let's talk. Well, the shaman deck, a lot of people have been. Let's talk about the priest deck first, and then we'll go into the shaman deck here. So the priest deck is a deck that Trump actually put together, surprisingly, given that Maz is our priest guy normally. But Trump, talk to us a little bit about I guess the Death Lords here, and I guess what you replaced with it.
Okay, well, I made sure to take a good amount of inspiration from Amaz. There aren't that many priest resources out there But at the core, this is a lot of the priest control that was kind of pioneered by Amaz. So the only real, like the big change here is the addition of two Death Lords, and I'm not entirely sure what version Amaz is running right now, but and also there's a third Cabal Shadow, a second Cabal Shadow Priest. So
Third one.
Third one, wow.
Very crazy.
I think three
The
would be
three
a little
horsemen
too
now.
many. Two is probably one more than Amaz currently plays. I know I've seen him on stream with Shadow Word Pain of it sometimes, Mind Blast sometimes, Silence sometimes. I'm not entirely sure what his most recent is, but instead of a Shadow Word Pain, I've got a Cabal Shadow Priest. I think it hits a good amount of targets, and the Death Lords are there to embrace the new card and to experiment with it. It's a card that I'm not entirely sure on yet, but seems really good in Priest because you can heal it.
Yeah. I mean, a three too, especially, like, what, 10 stats for a three is, like, amazing too. Does it usually stick around on the board for, like, a long time, or do you only find it, like, maybe 2 turns or something like
It seems like I play in one of two games. In one situation, it sticks around for a very long time and actually never dies, and I just win by crushing the opponent 30 health
Nice.
against 0. In the other
Nice.
world, it just gets killed, and then they get something. I mean, sometimes they get something good, sometimes they get a 1-1. I'm looking at you, Hunters. A 1-1, like, web spinner. But even in those cases where they get a 1-1, if they killed it efficiently, they're doing pretty well. So, it's unknown, and also furthermore, now there's a lot of three spots in this deck. Like I really wanted to put in the second Earthen Ring Farseer, but including two Death Lords means like, oh, okay, the 3 slot is pretty contested. When the Dark Cultist comes out, I don't know what's going to happen to this 3 slot. Maybe the Death Lords will just get removed for the Dark Cultist. That makes the most sense.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense, actually. Amaz, what do you think about Deathlord and Priest and just this deck right here?
Yeah, well, first of all, when I saw Death Lord, I was like, oh, Divine Spirit Inner Fire combo. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
right?
it's
That's what I
so
was thinking
good.
too.
But I tested it out, it's not that good, so I'm just gonna wait for Dark Cultist to come out. Because if you have Dark Cultist and Death Lord and all these high health minions, it might work out. So I'm gonna try that when the Dark Cultist comes out. For this specific deck, I can imagine the Death Lords, including Death Lords, would improve the Miracle matchup by actually quite a lot. Because the thing with Death Lords is they pull stuff from your opponent's deck, right? So I haven't sure if that happened to you, Trump. Did you pull out the Leroy by any chance with the Death Lord and you can like just kill it
Oh,
with like a
that'd be
voice star,
awesome.
right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that is really good, and also all the miracle minions they have to be played from hand to be able to do something, so I think that's really good.
Yeah.
It does improve the Zoo matchup, but the thing is, Priest is already really good against Zoo, and if you're cutting a Shadow or Pain and stuff like that, then it's kind of like you're replacing one good card against Zoo of another. So it's like sure, why not? But why I don't think that's a very good choice is that you kind of shoot yourself in the foot against other matchups, right? So if you play against warrior, and there's a lot of paladins too these days too, paladin or hunter, it's just not as good. It doesn't perform as well as like for say pain, right? Pain against warriors is like really really good. Against paladin is really really good. It hits an Aldo or a Kodo, so yeah, I mean it's good to experiment with it. So yeah, I would say that Deathlord is good against druids, and miracles. It's the same against Zoo, and the other matchups is a bit worse.
Okay, I mean, I'd go as far as to say that Deathlord might be the best card against Zoo. So it's true, Shadow Word Pain is good against Zoo, and you're replacing that with Deathlord. But Deathlord is like you play that against Zoo, and it almost feels like you just win if you get that on turn 3. It's that good. And currently, unfortunately, there's no super aggro decks, but if there were, Deathlord would be super good. So maybe this is
100%.
just not the best time for it. One of the big concerns is I haven't faced very many Paladins and Warriors. However, the Hunter has been quite popular, and they have a few really easy ways to kill it. The Nightmare is the Coda, and then there's also the Hunter's Mark and the Deadly Shot. So
Right.
against that, like, Deathlord isn't that exciting. On the bright side, the stuff they get from the Deathlord isn't that good either.
Right.
Yeah,
That's true.
Penalty's not as bad as sometimes you would think. Okay, well, I mean, that's definitely cool. I haven't gotten a chance to try out Death Lord, so that's definitely one of the things that was on my list too. But let's talk about the shaman now. The shaman, I think you've been seeing it a lot. We've been seeing stuff on Reddit popping up with dream scenarios, with Leroy or Earth Elemental and that sort of bit. But let's talk about this one. This one was actually created from Amaz, and it does have all those flavors. It has an ancestral spirit, reincarnate, barren flavor to it. So talk to us a little bit about this, Amaz.
So yeah, basically what the shaman wants to accomplish is go crazy combos. It's kind of like
Yeah.
a miracle shaman, right? With Baron Riven there, and then Baron Riven there activates off all death rattles, including ancestral spirit, and then it gets kind of crazy from there. A lot of there's a lot of shamans out there who are testing this combo, and right now I think it's like a holy grail crust to find the perfect balance between greediness and like being consistent, right?
Right.
You can go as greedy as go like, oh, you can have two earth elementals, and then when you ancestral spirit put the two ancestral spirits on the same earth elemental, and you faceless it, and then when they die, you get six earth elementals, and you put a Baron River there, and you don't even know what's happening. So yeah, but then of course, if you draw them early game, you're like sitting there for 4 turns, and you probably die. So yeah, people are just experimenting to see what's the most consistent way of building the deck while still getting to that point.
Yeah, definitely. The question is, how can you fit it into that shaman, right? Because shaman's always been very refined from the standpoint of being very hard to even switch out, just even one or two cards to make it just to continue its efficiency. Trump, what do you think of this deck?
It's about what I would have expected to see. It's got that Baron Riven there with the biggest and baddest death rattles and one reincarnate, like sometimes you see two. I actually haven't encountered this deck, and I would be very scared to run this deck because it feels inconsistent. You might have more experience with this, Chanman, since I know that you were casting Deck Wars, and one of the players actually pulled this out the day the set got released, which is incredible to me. Why don't you tell us a bit about that and what happened?
Well, I mean, Dark Wanix actually pulled it out, but he didn't actually have the dream scenario, unfortunately for him. And he had reincarnates, he had Baron, he didn't run Ancestral Spirit, so no Earth Elementals, because I think Ancestral Spirit, with like the Crusher Shaman, right, runs really well with Earth Elementals and other minions in that kind of deck. So he ran reincarnate, but he didn't end up getting Karen or Sylvanas, right, which is the kind of the dream scenario or the optimal scenarios. So didn't actually run into that, but he did. I don't even think he even had Baron. He just had really bad luck, so we didn't really get a chance to see that deck at its best, unfortunately. But I have played it. I've played more of the reincarnate focused deck more so than Ancestral Spirit. So more just Karen and Sylvanas, and it's felt really good, quite honestly. Like even just one reincarnate with a Karen is like pretty awesome value. If you just remove something and then run reincarnate, then you're essentially creating a new one and then just like losing the remainder health of that Karen, right, which is really nice. And then Sylvanas can steal two things, so I think that subtle kind of way of playing reincarnate I could see, but this kind of big type of investment into the crazy finishing type of move, I haven't quite seen a really great way to fit that in yet. I almost think it needs to be like the deck has to be pretty different than what we've seen with Shaman to be able to even do that.
Well, actually, it's funny because the first gen Miracle Rose only ran Auctioneer, right? The
Yeah.
first generation. And then it somehow evolved to include more minions, like even the Gnomish Inventor, the Azure Drake, and stuff like that, right? So I just I would give this deck a little bit more time.
Yeah. For
To see
sure.
what it
Yeah.
evolves to. But then I have like I want to say something about the Reincarnate spell. I think it's one of the best designed cards right now.
Yeah.
Because like right now the base is set, right? We have all the base cards, we have all the cards that have value and whatnot, the two battle cards and whatnot. We need some more of these niche cards that have like very high, I don't even know what the correct term is, like a high skill cap, because Reincarnate does things that you don't expect them to, and then sometimes you don't know why you even want to run it. For example, what I look at Reincarnate is basically the whole set's Death Rattle. So Reincarnate can read summon a 4/4 Nerubian, summon a 4/5 Bane, take control of a random minion, right? It can also read remove your buffs from your opponent's board. Like for example, someone put a Houndmaster on a beast before, and I used Reincarnate and it was gone, and then I can smash for the win, stuff like that.
It's a
I
silence,
think
basically.
yeah, it's
Right.
basically a pseudo silence. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think Hearthstone can do well with more of these cards that on the face, like on the text, it's really really simple, but then it has a lot of interactions.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Trump, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, one of my favorite cards in this set is Deathward, which is almost exactly like that. You have to know when to play it, when it'll be disastrous, and I think it's one of those cards where it's a high risk, and it's not even like this is one of those cards that I can't even evaluate yet, which is good for a card when it's hard to evaluate. And kudos because there are quite a few of those in this next Rammus set that aren't just like, oh, this card is obviously good or this card is obviously bad. There's some that are questionable, and that's partly
Mhm.
why it's just being run right now, just to test it out, see how it goes.
I would
Yeah.
say reincarnate is very high risk because it only
Mhm.
works if you have a death rattle on the board or if your opponent has a buff. Like that doesn't happen a lot, so it's kind of a high risk card. So that's why I only included one because it's
Mhm.
like it sits there in your hand and does nothing. It needs something else to activate it.
Yeah, definitely. And reincarnate, some people have been using reincarnate with like Leroy and that sort of bit, but reincarnate with Leroy is like the same as like Wind Fury, so it's not as special in that particular case, right?
Yeah, it's more like a shadow step if you compare it like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But the thing is, it's a shadow step that doesn't work with your other minions. So once again, it's like very high risk, right? I mean, sure,
Right.
first your harvest golem and whatnot. Do you really want that silly 2/1? You know?
That's true. That's definitely true. All right, well, it'd be nice to see some more Earth Elementals, though. I mean, that's one card that's been always very susceptible to very two cards, Black Knight and BGH, and so we haven't seen it as much. But with Ancestral Spirit and Baron, maybe we'll see it some more, and that'd be really nice because I feel like that's always been one of the most powerful Shaman cards that's never been used because of just that weakness it has, which is just damage, right? The damage being 7. If it was 6, it'd be probably amazing. It would just be amazing. Um, okay, well, anyways, some more decks, guys. Those of you watching, just try these out, man. I highly encourage you to try out the Shaman decks, just because it's a lot of fun to mess around with those things, and just to get a better feel for the reincarnate card and just how the death rattle, just synergizing with death rattle and that sort of thing. Really, really fun. Well, okay, why don't we kind of just blew through those, man. Why don't we just take some questions? I think the viewers always have some awesome questions for us. Let's see.